listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of Grave Discussions.
I am your co-host, Samael.
And I am your other co-host, Barnabas. We'd like to thank each and every single one of you who made this episode possible. We got over 130 downloads or hits on Podbean, which is amazing for like a debut podcast episode. So thank you guys so much for sticking around, and we hope to just keep this train rolling.
Yeah, I was so happy when I saw that. Thank you, Sports Radio Detroit, once again. I gotta always thank these guys, because I wasn't expecting that when I just woke up one morning, you know, like I was trotting around the house, and then I got a notification on my Facebook. I had like Bart and, you know, Mr. Castillo tag me in something, and then I look, and in the first 6 days of March, like we were like the top downloaded podcast, and I almost had an aneurysm. It was great. It was great. I was shocked. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like, I mean, it goes to show there's a lot of horror fans out there, you know? They're hidden, but they're out there.
Yes, big shout outs to Sports Radio Detroit for basically making this show happen. So, welcome everybody. This is episode number 2, Fright Night Part 2, the Uncrowned King of 80s horror.
And that's a bold statement. And we know, and we are here today on this lovely day to elaborate on that subject. We hinted at it in the first episode that we were going to make a bold claim. This is the claim. This is not only a gem, this is the king of all diamonds of the 80s.
Yes, that was a good element joke there.
Thanks, it wasn't a joke. I was just trying to be clever, and I didn't know how I was going to make it come out, so just like winging it.
So, yeah, Fright Night Part 2 is going to be our exclusive segment this episode, and we can't wait to talk about it, because actually we just watched it, and we were just nerding out about this movie the whole time.
Yeah, because we watched it once before, and we were like, holy crap, that was really good. And then, you know, today's episode was going to be about it, so we're like, yo, refresher course, we have to watch that movie right now. And we just pulled it up, watched it again, and I'm still impressed. I mean, we both of us were like, yo, that was great. And like, we started breaking down like everything that happened in the movie and how it was kind of the antithesis of the first movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my god, like
it was really solid. So we're gonna talk about it. Today's gonna kind of be an introspective on that movie and why we support the claim that we made. I have a few other claims about it as well, but we'll get into that.
Oh, I didn't even know this.
Yes, we're gonna get into that during the main segment, which is going to be in about 25 to 30 minutes from now. So stay tuned for that, because that is going to be really interesting.
You got me excited now.
Yeah, it's gonna be, bro. It's gonna be fun to talk about. Before that, though, we're going to discuss some horror-related news. So first things first, I'd really like to talk about Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3, presented by Starz. Samael and I are both really big fans of the original film trilogy that started in '81, and this show is basically based off of all of that, but it's kind of a sequel because it takes place basically after Army of Darkness, when Ash gets back home.
Yeah, it's like years and years later though.
Yeah, it's like way later. He's a lot older now. I think it's like 30 years later or something.
He's an old man, but I've only got to season 1, but he's still a badass.
Yeah, oh yes, that is one of the trademarks of the show. Even in his old age, he's still battling evil, and he's a badass. But yeah, they basically he's kept the Necronomicon all this time to try to prevent anybody else from using it, and of course his like high stupor he like gets some girl over and he reads from it trying to be all cool and shit. It was basically how the evil is released, and of course it's typical Ash. But he releases the evil again, so he has to go fight it, and he teams up with some cool people. And now a lot of shit has happened between 2 episodes. I'm not going to spoil it for you, Sam, because I know you haven't seen all of it yet. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody else that wants to start watching it, which you should. They're only like 30-minute episodes. There's not a lot of them per season, so it's worth it.
I think I've gotten halfway through the first season, and if you liked 1, if you liked 2, if you liked Army of Darkness, and if you liked the remake, even the remake, you'll like this one a lot. So far from what I've seen, kind of a semi-slow build-up. Not too slow, but then it like shit hits the fan really quick.
Yes, and it has all that quality gore and just like badassery that the original film series had. So if you're an Evil Dead fan, it's a great show. You'll love what they did with it. But season 3 just premiered on Sunday. This past Sunday, so I already watched the first episode of season 3. It was really good, and they're going to continue with that every Sunday on Stars, so be sure to check it out if you're interested in that. And so moving on from that, Sam, you can talk a little bit about this. Is pretty cool. There is a new Goosebumps movie.
Oh my god!
In the work.
So first couple years back, I saw that Jack Black one. I don't care what the other critics said. Yeah. Like, they're not me. So, I don't care. I really liked it. I like Jack Black's demeanor. He was, like, not the goofy, zany guy, like, right off the bat. He was, like, the more stern father-type figure. And he was never the goofy, zany guy in that movie, right? Because he played R.L. Stein, and he was serious the whole time because his daughter was, like, made up or whatever.
With, like, just how the comedy in the movie was, he was sort of, like, zany or whatever. But, yeah, he was supposed to be, like, serious.
He was more clever. Like,
he was like, what have you unleashed, you know?
Yeah, like, He's that guy. I don't know. It was weird seeing him in that role, but I really liked it because, like, I hadn't seen anything Goosebumps related since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then that came out. I was like, oh my god, I have to go see that. And I went saw it, and I wasn't disappointed at all.
No, it was really
$7 worth watching. Why is it always $7 for the movie? But if I want to own the DVD, it's like $50 on Blu-ray. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's messed up, bro. But now we've got a sequel coming out, and I think it's actually supposed to be a sequel to that movie with Jack Black. I'm gonna check to see like if he's in it. Actually, I'm not sure if he is. It might be to the show, actually, possibly, because they had a lot of Slappy stuff. But there's a new movie coming out sometime this year called Slappy Halloween. Originally called Slappy's Revenge.
That dummy scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, first I remember reading the Goosebumps book, and then I watched the show, and like, we were young. We were like, what, 7, 8 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, seeing a talking dummy, like, you know, we hadn't seen that much horror at that point, so seeing like some inanimate
object.
1, 2, 3, check. Inanimate object come to life. Seeing that happen.
But he was also just the best, and they kept recurring him too, which made him like even cooler.
Yeah, you know? Like he just can't be stopped. So I really hope they don't try that with this one, because then it'll be like
I hope not.
Shark jump after shark jump movie. Like,
well, it does say that the plot details are currently unknown, but it's been rumored to follow 3 friends who must stop Slappy the dummy from starting the Halloween apocalypse. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, what's Halloween? It will be Halloween forever.
Nobody gets candy, like,
right? No. Like,
but apparently, as of the article that we're looking at, which is on bloodydisgusting.com, great site, it's set to release October 12th, so just a little bit before Halloween, which totally makes sense. So yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Our last bit of news for this particular episode, I want to really talk about Get Out. Not for very long, but I really want to talk about it.
It was just a really, really smart movie.
It was so good. It just won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, which is crazy for a few reasons. First of all, big shout out to Jordan Peele. I love all your comedy with Key and Peele.
Those dudes are hilarious.
But you're such a good writer, man. You're such a good writer, and I'm so glad you won. He was the first black director or writer to ever win that particular Oscar.
Damn, bro. That's crazy.
That is so crazy. So
legend.
Props to you, Jordan Peele.
I love that guy.
And it was really the only like horror movie at the Oscars this year too, which is crazy.
Yeah, it was more like thriller, I would say.
Yeah, well, you know, I feel like
it was horrifying. Like, it was horrific. Yeah. Like, stuff like if people actually did that would be horrific. Like that's inhumane.
Yes.
Like 1000%. Sick.
I still feel like it's a horror movie though, of course, but yeah, it does. It's kind of a drama. It's kind of a thriller, suspense, kind of mystery. You know, it's a lot of things. There's even a little comedy in it because it's Jordan Peele. You know, but you know, but it's movies like that are like considered horror movies that get in like the Oscar mix because they're not just straight up horror. Like you're probably not going to see like a werewolf movie, you know, get nominated at the Oscars for anything,
or a vampire movie.
Yeah, I mean, Interview with a Vampire was I think that was Oscar worthy, but I mean, you can't really say that about a lot.
I mean, but look who was in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, look who was in it.
It was hot. It was big screen like Hollywood for sure. But I mean, Get Out was really talked about too. But that's that kind of movie that is at the Oscars because there's so much to it, so much complexity that is gonna get nominated for something.
Yeah, I heard all the buzz around it and I hadn't seen it, so you know I went to the Comcast menu, I bought it, and I watched it, and I was just like, wow, like it was the last movie I was gonna watch before going to sleep. I was like, that's a way to end the night. Wow, what a
it really makes you think.
Yeah.
It's so good. Congratulations to Jordan Peele.
Yeah, for real, man.
For your Oscar win. And I love Get Out. I hope that it continues to see success, and I hope we continue to see like horror presence at the Oscars, and hopefully more.
Hopefully,
because we've been getting a lot of really good stuff lately.
Yeah, we have. It all depends on the populace, you know. Like if like, and the majority of people like that movie because it.
Oh yeah, it got talked about a lot.
It got talked about a lot. There needs to be more horror movies like that. There needs to be like a new wave, like.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see it already in like the independent scene, but I think we'll leave that for a broader discussion in another
the independent
episode.
Scene is gonna bring it all back, I think, because those are like the really nostalgic horror fans. Like some of them dedicated to the cult. Some of them want to get a quick movie on Netflix, make a quick buck.
Why not?
Why not?
If it's good, you know.
If it's good, yeah, but you should do it for like.
You should do it for passion.
Yeah, you should. You shouldn't do it for
like follow your dreams, your horror dreams. You know.
If you want to do it for the money, it's the wrong way, man. Like, just do it. Just do it. If you're about horror, just do it. We're not endorsing Nike, by the way.
Yeah, or Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with that. But now it's on to our 4 main segments of the episode, and we're going to start with the terrorizing trailer of the day. This episode's trailer is actually something that neither Sam or I have actually really heard of, but we kind of just came across the trailer and it looked sick. So
yeah, we saw it's called Demon House. Apparently, it's coming out. When's that? Next week? Is that coming out next week?
Yeah, March 16th is the official release day. I don't know if it's going to be out in like
9 days,
all theaters, but yeah, next week. So hopefully we'll go see it.
Yeah, because anything demon related, we're fanboys. Because Night of the Demons, that 80s horror. So anything paranormal will catch our eye. But we got to see what you have to offer. Yeah. So let's see that trailer.
Yes, and so again, we are just going to be having the audio from the trailer, obviously, but, you know, if you want to see what we're seeing, please feel free to watch along. You can mute the video or whatever. It's right on IMDb, or you can probably just Google it. So
it's a 2-minute and 3-second one.
Yep, no, real fast. Well, you know, we'll pause it and, you know, deliver some feedback and commentary on it. Mm-hmm. So here we go.
Might hear us say some stuff while we're watching.
Yep.
Like the angles you're taking.
Yeah, me too. It's already creepy.
Candles.
Yeah. I think that's a good spot to pause it. So already it's telling us that it's a documentary film, but not really. It's a fiction film disguised as a documentary film. Mockumentary, kind of like Behind the Mask, and there are some other ones too.
It's like the Blair Witch Project all over again.
yeah, pretty much.
In the house.
But I like those kind of movies, you know.
I do. Like, I love mockumentaries.
Honestly, like, the acting is good because you have to pretend like you're actually being a real person.
Yeah.
In a documentary, you know, like that's crazy.
You don't got to deliver like Well, you do got to deliver like super emotion, but not like super
Yeah.
exaggerated emotion like in some of these films.
But like it seems like if that was really happening, that's how you would react.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you'd be like, oh my god. You know?
You'd be like, oh, and you'd start booking it, and the camera would shake in your face while you're booking it. You see your scared face on the camera. So if you were alive after you'd watch it, look how scared I was. I was about to crap myself. Like,
yeah, but I like the actual documentaries too, like the reality show stuff, like Ghost Hunters. There's a really cool one out of Michigan, actually, out of Saginaw, called A Haunting in Saginaw. Yeah, you should check it out. I highly recommend it. It's really cool. It's pretty much Ghost Hunters. Like, they go in, they interview people, then they do like the nightly sessions with the night
I've heard
vision.
a movie Lake Erie, but I don't know if it's a documentary or not. But it's a horror movie. I gotta check that out.
Also, Lake Mungo.
Lake Mungo, I've heard of that. Yeah, you told me.
You haven't seen it, but I recommend it to anybody. It looks like a home movie, but it's a documentary. But actually it's got a lot of home movie like clips in there, you know. But it's a really good like ghost movie, and there's a scene in there that is actually super terrifying. Like I think about it a lot, you know, like when I'm like sleeping in bed or whatever. You know, like I just like see the image sometimes. If you've seen it, you'll know what part I'm talking about.
You just be laying in bed grateful to not be at Lake Mungo.
Yeah, so you know, I really like those kind of movies, so I'm pretty excited that this one's going to be one of those. So let's continue.
Jack Bagans. I'm one of the world's leading researchers on ghosts and demonology, and this film is cursed.
View at your own risk.
Yeah.
A story about a demon possession makes international news.
Now look at one of the most documented cases of demon possession and exorcism in recent history.
The next day, over the phone, I buy the house, sight unseen.
In my 37 years of police investigation, I've never run into anything like that before.
I just got the keys to the demon house. You think it's dangerous for me to be in that house?
I wouldn't be there.
When the black guy tells you not to go in a house, you should probably not go in there.
I think like white people start taking black people's advice. All right,
seriously,
like you like they see shit. Okay, they're not. They don't run toward a ghost when they see it. All right, they run the opposite direction as nature intended. When you see something like that, you're like, hey, let's go ask it how it died, so we can remind it of those terrible memories. Let's agitate it, like bro. Like no, you just leave. That's what you do.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, it looks great so far. It reminds me of, you know what it reminds me of that we didn't mention for some dumbass reason? Grave Encounters.
Yeah.
Were grave discussions, grave encounters, such a good movie. Basically in the same style. It's got the investigator guy, he's like doing an episode, and then he like runs into some weird shit.
Maybe if it doesn't come out in theaters, hopefully this will be like a straight to Netflix thing.
I think it is coming out in theaters, but the way it like looks, it might not be in like every theater. But you know, if you can find it, go.
We're gonna
watch
find it. Yeah. Now we have to find it. We talked about the trailer.
Exactly. Yeah. So
scouting.
Let's continue.
She had holes in both her wrists, just like Luke Cook.
They called 911. They called 911.
There was an unidentifiable voice. I only heard it on the recording.
Something came back. I don't know if it was that demon, but something.
They put the crucifix on her head. She began convulsing.
It was a 6 grade now back.
Well, this looks super promising.
Right? I know.
If people are making this up, I'm gonna catch them.
Why is it spiking?
This looks super promising.
Yeah, it does. Honestly, I think that if you do like a mockumentary, especially a paranormal type mockumentary like Grave Encounters, if you do that like really well, I think you have a great movie on your hands.
Yeah, this looks like one of those.
Yeah, I really hope so. I liked a lot of the footage that they're getting, the lighting, just the realness of it. Honestly, it looks like an actual documentary, sort of.
Yeah, and like we just found this, and now I'm excited to see this. I'm hyped up. Why do I gotta wait 9 days now?
I know it sucks, but
send us the early release.
That would be cool, or give us like a advanced screening or something. Then that would be dope.
Bro. Just do it for the Vine.
Let's right. Let's finish the trailer up here.
What it all comes down to.
Yo,
goat demon.
Yes,
goat demon. There's a goat demon.
That's how you know it's gonna be OG. All right.
Any movie with a goat-headed demon, I approve of.
Yes, That looked really good. I'm very excited. So, yeah, March 9th. It should be out in theaters, so look it up. Yep. March... Oh, wait.
No, I'm pretty sure it was like...
Actually, March 16th, I think. March 16th.
Because today's the 7th. 9 days after, no?
My bad. March 16th.
Bart's not very good at maths.
No, I'm not.
I'm not good at grammars.
We're going to continue on now, and this segment is, I think, one of our personal favorites, the Cult Corner. This episode's Cult Corner is a recent favorite of ours, another great installment in the 80s slasher genre.
Yeah, Bart informed me about this one because I was Googling, like, Halloween movie ripoffs and, like, 80s cult slashers. This came up, and I didn't really think too much of it, so I kind of scrolled past it, started watching a few more, and then I asked Bart for a recommendation because I was just sitting in my room in the dark wanting to watch a horror movie. I was in that mood. Yeah. And he told me to watch Hell Night, and I watched it, and like right off the bat, it's promising. You got teenagers, it's the 80s. We're going to check out this apparently haunted abandoned house. We're going to try to pull some tricks, and then we're all going to die.
Yep. It's the typical, but, you know, well-loved 80s horror formula of, you know, get a bunch of college kids together and have them do some stupid shit, basically. You know, something that'll probably get them in trouble. So, yeah, Hell Night is about a couple... college students who are trying to get into a sorority, and there's a fraternity, I think, that conducts this like initiation, right? Sort of, where there's this like old creepy house, of course, where this like guy supposedly killed like his family, and they have to stay the night there, and then they're inducted.
And one of the girls that has to stay in the house is Linda Blair from The Exorcist.
Yep, of all people. Linda Blair did have a couple roles after The Exorcist. Of course, this one is 1981, so it's a few years after.
Yeah, it looks like this movie got 1 win and 1 nomination, and as far as awards go.
Yeah, let me see if I
didn't know that.
Yeah, me either, actually. So, it won a Razzie for worst actress, Linda Blair. Sorry, Linda, you were not.
Yeah,
you were not bad.
I was gonna talk about that. Her acting was kind of bad in that movie, but The Exorcist, she was great. So.
Yeah, I liked her I liked her performance, and I mean, it wasn't like The Exorcist, obviously.
I mean, it's an 80s slasher, man. It's supposed to be cheesy. Everyone back then was, "Hey, how are you doing, fella?" Snap finger, point at you, you know. So everything's supposed to be cheesy, man.
It was like that, but it did actually win
Best Special Effects
Award at the Catalonian International Film Festival. So that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So hey, it's an award-winning horror movie. So there you go, guys.
Nice.
You should watch Hell Night.
Thanks, guys, at that place for recognizing a cult classic.
Yeah, it did have great special effects. There's a killer. I don't want to spoil like what it is or who it is or whatever, but the makeup on the killer is super cool. Like the gore effects are good. So yeah. Yeah,
and it's not what you think. Like once the killer shows up, like things take left and right turns all over the place. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. If you haven't watched Hell Night, you should watch Hell Night. I give that movie like 4.8 out of 5 stars. The minus 0.2 was Linda Blair's acting.
Yeah. It was, sorry, Linda. I mean, it wasn't like terrible or anything, but it
wasn't.
It wasn't like,
it's just 0.2. It's not like I said 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I know.
If it was like a movie like, what's that one clown movie I let you borrow? Killjoy? You remember Killjoy?
Yeah.
If it was that kind of acting, I would give it like a negative 0.999 out of 2000.
Negative infinity.
Yeah,
that movie was not good, but yeah, I mean, I really liked Hell Night. It was a great addition to the slasher genre, and I mean, it was 81. You know, it had a lot of competition though, which is why.
Yeah, because
it's not like super famous.
What came out that year too? Maniac,
Evil Dead,
Friday the 13th came out in 81.
Evil Dead came out. So I mean,
everyone was trying to
competition.
Everyone was trying to take advantage of that whole slasher thing after Michael Myers showed up.
Yep.
Every single person. Silent Night, Deadly Night, they showed up. Did that come out that year too? Or was that 1980?
I think it was 80, yeah.
And Boogeyman came out, which was more supernatural.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like Halloween, you are a legend, man. Not you, you're not a man, but like Halloween, John Carpenter.
Yeah.
It's legendary, man. You made, like, there's just carbon copies of Halloween out there.
Yes.
Like, but this one was, like, more of like a...
It was kind of a cheesier one, sort of.
It was cheesy.
But not,
I wouldn't
not
attribute
really, though.
Halloween to it.
Yeah.
It had like the more like Hills Have Eyes type of vibe, hint.
Sort of, yeah.
I'm kind of giving us as to what the killers.
Not a lot.
Not too much to it,
Yeah.
but the great thing about that movie, I like the score.
Yeah.
And like the atmosphere never like shows too much daylight. It takes place in a house, things move, people hear things, and then people just start dying. If you want to be creeped out, watch the movie, man. It's 80s. You might think it's cheesy, but no, you'll be scared. Trust me.
It's really good. Yeah, actually, and just one last thing before we move on. I actually got it from Scream Factory. I actually won their, I told you about this, but I won their like year-long, basically free movie getaway. It's called the Year of Fear. So they were doing a grand prize giveaway.
Lucky bastard.
The grand prize winner gets like every Scream Factory release for a whole year, basically. So I already got a lot of cool stuff.
Guess who's about to steal Barnabas' identity?
No, don't do that. I like myself, kind of.
Well, now you're about to be Elroy Jetson living on the street.
Dang. But it was really cool. There were some special features too. Actually, there was an interview with Linda Blair.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, it was.
Did
it
they
was
talk
really
to
cool.
her about her acting? Like, how do you feel about being a shitty actor? In that
Oh my
movie?
god!
Like,
I don't think they talked to her about that, but I think they talked to her about The Exorcist. Like, what
no
happened
disrespect,
after, but-
Linda. It's just
Yeah.
it's funny.
It's just humor, but you know,
It's just funny you got an award for something that's bad. Like it's just ironic.
well, it was a Razzie. They award the worst.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what I'm saying. It's ironic that they even exist.
Yeah, but that was really cool.
Pessimism has no place in this world, Barnabas.
Okay, Sam. So that's the Cult Corner. Definitely give Hell Night a watch. I think you can probably find it on like your Fire Stick or whatever. But the Scream Factory releases out, so you have to give them a shout out for the great contest. And it's a beautiful, like, it looks really good as it's Blu-ray and it's remastered and stuff. So yeah. But we're gonna move on now to our main segment of the episode.
Welcome to Fright Night.
So our main segment of this particular episode is going to be our Fright Night Part 2, and you may have obviously heard the claim that we made in the title. It is the Uncrowned King of 80s horror. So why don't we explain that a little? Remember, this is kind of an introspective. We're going to talk about the movie. There's likely to be major spoilers.
Like
So-
99.9%.
Yeah.
Like
That
as
much
likely
percent.
as hand sanitizers to take out that much bacteria off your hand. That's not that much.
So there's like a 0.1% chance that you're going to feel dirty after this.
That's because we legally can't say 100. Because what if you get sick? Like,
Yeah, exactly. You don't want that liability.
yeah.
So I know it's a bold claim. It's a really bold claim because there's so much horror that came out of the 80s that is iconic, including Fright Night Part 1.
Including Evil Dead, including Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
including a lot.
So how exactly, Sam, do we dare to make that kind of a claim against those kind of movies?
Oh, we dare. Not only do we dare, but we care. To explain,
Yes, why we think the way that we do. We've seen it twice now, and we just watched it not too long ago before we sat down to do the podcast today. And yeah, it just blew our minds again. First things first, you know, how does this particular movie, which is a direct sequel to Fright Night Part 1, which is a classic cult movie from the 80s, how does that overshadow that movie?
I don't know, man. This one is just as good, if not better, because like the character development, the different elements they used, and the fact that the movie looked really modern. It didn't look like a 1980s horror movie. Like the cinematography was superb. It wasn't like they were using like a $2,500 camera or like they didn't have iPhones back then, but they weren't recording it off a toaster.
Yeah, no toaster recording.
It was the plot was the antithesis of the very first Fright Night. So in the first Fright Night, Charlie believes in vampires, sort of, whatever. He got a new neighbor. He sees a coffin being taken into there. He asks Peter Vincent for help eventually in the movie. Peter Vincent doesn't believe in vampires. He meets a guy. Now Peter Vincent believes in vampires and Charlie believes in vampires. They take out Jerry And that's the end of the movie.
Well, don't forget the important part that Charlie does not believe in vampires at the start of the movie because he was so shocked by the events that he began to see a therapist who persuaded him that vampires are not real.
Oh, no, I was referring to the first movie. I was just doing a quick recap.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But that is what happens in Fright Night Part 2, which is why it's so crazy.
In Fright Night Part 2, we see Charlie at a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist is convincing him that vampires aren't real, and that him seeing Jerry, a serial killer as they claim him to be, seeing him as a vampire was one of his defense mechanisms, which... Yeah, that's Peter Vincent's defense mechanism too, right?
Yeah, so that's a complete 180 basically on who Charlie was as a character in the first film. And then like weird stuff starts happening again really similarly to the first film.
Yep, he goes to Peter Vincent to visit an old friend, and right next to Peter Vincent, car pulls up, coffin's being carried. Charlie's like, calm down, vampires don't exist. And now, like Bart said, it's the opposite of the first movie. Now Charlie doesn't believe in vampires, and Peter Vincent does. Like, he is like, he doesn't even read his own lines, his own script. He just goes like freebase, like off the top of the dome.
He's still
like,
doing Fright Night. Because he lived it, so he doesn't need a script. He actually knows what it's like,
just like you said,
to face off against a monster.
Yeah, like you said, he stared into the face of the beast.
Yeah.
Jerry.
Exactly. So now he has that experience. Now he believes in vampires, but he's still afraid. You know, he's still scared that something like this could happen again, because even though he's faced it, he doesn't want to face it again. And then Charlie begins to have doubts, and he thinks that something weird might be going on.
Yeah, even at one point, Charlie's girlfriend knocks on his apartment door. He pulls out a crucifix because he had a quote-unquote dream. Spoiler alert, it wasn't a dream, of him inviting a woman into his pad that he thought wasn't a vampire. She cuts him on the neck with her tooth. And then the next morning, he's bleeding, and it's like, oh, how'd you get that? Well, I probably scratched myself. I had this weird dream, like, blah, 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 blah.
So, yeah, and he sees her in Peter Vincent's apartment in the lobby, and she basically becomes his new neighbor. So that's also a parallel. Well, not a parallel, but the opposite, really. Like, it's a mirror image, because in part 1, it's Charlie who has a vampire move in next door to him.
And now it's Peter Vincent.
Yes.
Now, both guys who believed had a vampire come to them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's actually a really good point. Like I said,
the antithesis, the complete opposite.
It's so smart.
It is smart.
And there's a lot of other stuff, but that character development, I feel, is really well written. Like, you don't...
Yeah, because they're two different people now.
Exactly. They are each other from the first movie, basically.
Exactly. Until Charlie starts having his doubts.
Yeah.
And then we see the very first vampire make his move, and it's a roller skating vampire.
Yeah. Goes
for this Asian girl, takes her out, puts her in the limo. They feast on her.
That's how you know it's 80s, and it's still got that Fright Night, you know, vibe of being comedy, but mostly horror. But it's just stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, they had funny moments where like a vampire jumped out of a window, and like Charlie was like, you know, that was not therapy, you know, like that was
not group hypnosis.
Yeah, that's not group hypnosis.
Yeah,
like,
they like face off against one toward the end of the film, and so yeah, there's just a lot of really good elements in the writing that create these characters so well, and they build. And Charlie is the one who becomes a vampire in this film,
yes,
as opposed to his girlfriend in the first film, and Charlie is seduced by this new head vampire who's this like really beautiful woman.
Another antithesis, Charlie being seduced instead of his girlfriend. And the way that he, like, midway during the seduction, remember the club scene from the first one where Jerry seduced Charlie's girlfriend? Now it's a parallel. Like, he meets this vampire at the party, this chick he's been seeing, he's been dreaming about. She has fangs, she has the yellow eyes, she does some performance stuff. He feels like he's hypnotized. She pretends to take out her contacts and her teeth like she's not a vampire. Oh, she's a performance artist. Blah blah blah. And then Peter Vincent pulls out his mirror again. Starts panning that around.
So that's actually something that's pretty much the same to the first movie. We get that Easter egg of the mirror, you know, not being able to see Jerry.
Skepticism followed by the mirror.
Yes.
Skepticism from Peter Vincent, even though he believes this time, but followed by the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. And so the mirror reveals that Regine, who is the female vampire antagonist of this film, that she's not there either. But yeah, it's this big like bourgeoisie party, but it's got like the same club like music that was going on in the first
Same
film.
music when Jerry was seducing Charlie's girlfriend was playing while Regine was seducing Charlie.
Yeah, I think her name was Amy, the girlfriend.
Amy?
In the
Yeah,
first
it was
movie. I
Amy.
think it
I
was
have a
Amy.
hard time remembering.
Yeah,
her.
so when Jerry was seducing Amy in the nightclub, the opposite thing is happening here, where Regine is seducing Charlie at this, like, you know, fancy, like, party where everyone's pretending to be a vampire, but they really are vampires.
And then as soon as that mirror comes out, shit hits the fan. Peter Vincent tries to run out of there. He literally looked at Regine, like, right behind him. He runs out, he exits. As soon as he opens the door, she's right there.
Yeah.
He pulls out his giant, like, super mega cross. She just puts her hand out, says, "You got to get closer. Those kind of entrappings don't work because I'm old." Like,
Yeah, so...
and she reveals who she is. Bart, who is she?
Yeah, it's not even really revealed how old she is, but she is revealed to be Jerry's sister. That's Jerry Dandridge, the main vampire antagonist from Fright Night Part 1. So she has a reason to go after Charlie, and she was just waiting until he stopped believing so that he would drop his guard, she would move right in, and then she would be able to seduce him easily.
Even after he becomes a vampire and he tries to kill her, she just, like, does that vampire hypnosis on him again. As soon as he opens that coffin with that steak, he couldn't do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just so good, the writing. And actually, I wanted to talk one quick thing at that party scene with Peter Vincent. He actually came into it and, you know, he saw all the, like, the performance stuff and, like, everybody pretending to be vampires.
Right at the beginning, though.
Yeah. And so, but he was like, oh, Charlie, you know, this is nothing. You're just worrying about nothing. How can the same thing happen twice? Remember he said that?
Yeah, how can...
So he believes, and he's faced it, and he feels stronger for it, but at the same time, he's scared of it, and he cannot believe that something like this would happen again. But when he sees Regine, or doesn't see her in the mirror, he finally believes, and that's when he really jumps into action.
Yeah, he really did jump into action, though he was hesitant at first, because, I mean, it caught him off guard. Like, what are the chances of that happening so quick? And she kind of, like, she knew how he felt about it. Like, she felt his vibe, and she tried to get in his head. Regine called Peter Vincent a coward.
Yeah.
Like,
and so that's so good. And then obviously as the movie progresses, he becomes increasingly a badass, kind of like in the first movie, but now he's already, like, been through that. So towards the end of the film, he's just like Peter Vincent, vampire killer. Remember that one line, like that line of dialogue?
Yeah. He's like, "What do you do? I kill vampires."
Yes. I think that was, like, the best character development, and with Charlie too, but Peter Vincent is just such an interesting, cool character, well-written character. So that's what I feel about that. Like
the ending though, how, like, they got rid of the vampire. Charlie was at, like, the bottom of this, like, elevator shaft, I think, at the dorms.
Yeah, or like the floor or something.
And then the sun was coming in, but they were at the bottom floor. Peter Vincent picks up a piece of broken glass and reflects the sun onto Regine and destroys her.
Such a good hero. And there was a lot else to what Samael said about it being, like, looking modern.
Yeah.
And it's not that, like, it looked like when you would watch a Blu-ray, because, you know, we were watching it like 240p basically.
The way they pan in, the way they pan out.
The way the cinematography is.
Exactly.
Felt so, like, ahead of its time.
Yeah. It didn't feel like an 80s horror movie.
No, and this was 88, so it was, like, toward the end, you know? It was kind of like getting into that style of, like, the 90s kind of.
Yeah, it was getting into it, but it felt like, I don't know, it felt like more modern than that to me. Like, if it was, like, if they released that 4K on Blu-ray, and you told me that came out in the 80s, the only way I would be able to figure it out is because of Charlie's hairstyle. And the fact that he's wearing those dumbass sunglasses.
Like the music and all that stuff, like clearly 80s. Yeah, man. The practical effects, amazing.
Practical effects were really
all the
good.
Vampire, like, faces and bodies and stuff were really good.
Because, like, in some scenes, like, when the vampires transform, like, one of them had a bat face, not just, like, the teeth and everything, but he turned to bark at a dog, and not bark, but, you know, hiss or whatever.
Like, growled at it.
Whatever the hell the bats do. I don't know about it. They got sonar. I don't know what the hell bats do. He just looked at the dog and growled at him.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And this movie also had, guess what? Same thing as the first movie. It had a ghoul.
It did have a ghoul. It was this big... It was the guy who played Shao Kahn in the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, in Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I don't remember his name.
And he was in Joe Dirt. He played the guy when he kidnapped Joe Dirt. It puts the lotion on its skin.
Yeah, I think it's this guy, Brian Thompson.
Yeah, the guy's name was
guy.
Yeah, Brian Thompson.
Brian Thompson. So that was really cool. because in part 1, I forget the dude's name, but the guy that Jerry like lived with that helped take care of him, and like put him to sleep and stuff like that. He was a ghoul, so it's cool that they kind of harken back to that. It actually kept true to like vampire mythos, because in a lot of vampire like fiction and literature or whatever, they'll have like a servant that can like transport them to daytime or like do things for them in the daytime and help them out, and they're usually like super strong and stuff like
this guy was pretty big too. He just ran up to Peter Vincent, kneed him in the gut, punched him in the face.
It is literally Shao Kahn as a vampire.
Yeah, literally.
He kicked Peter Vincent's ass.
And then Charlie gave him some vampire nails straight to the stomach.
He gave him the finger.
Yeah, he gave him all the fingers. Every single finger, all the nails too.
That was a good kill. There had a lot of really good kills. It was just such an 80s movie, and I know it's weird to like compare it to like movies like The Evil Dead and Friday the 13th and stuff, because like Fright Night Part 1 you can kind of throw into that mix,
but what this one did, like how the whole movie was an antithesis of the first movie, I will keep mentioning that was genius, because if they would have just continued the storyline and like just did little stuff like the whole Charlie not believing, him having a psychiatrist, and then he slowly believes again, and then Peter Vincent has that moral dilemma, can I do this again, and like it was a good sequel, man. You can't say that for Friday the 13th. You can't say that for Halloween.
That's true, yeah. Like, you'll still like those sequels.
Like, look, and listen to me. Like, me saying this is the best 80s horror movie is a bold claim, even for me, because I'm a Jason fanboy. Yeah. I'm a Michael fanboy. Yeah. I'm a Freddy fanboy. Yeah. I'm a Evil Dead fanboy.
Yes.
I'm a... Chucky came out in the 80s.
Yeah, Child's Play came out then, yeah.
Fanboy of that.
Hellraiser, yep.
But see, none of them had that element to the sequel, like let's say Halloween, for example. Yeah. Oh, he's chasing a babysitter. Oh, the babysitter isn't anybody. It's just his sister. Like, how would Michael know that was his sister? And that's what like sibling, like
psychic sibling shit.
Yeah, man. Then when you start to get too supernatural into these slashers, you're shark jumping. Like in Halloween 6, when it got to that point, it was like he has a curse on him, the curse of Thorn. And like, look, Halloween 2 was okay, but it was not a great sequel. Friday the 13th Part 2 introduced Jason, a bag-headed guy. Cool movie, not a great sequel.
Yeah, but Fright Night Part 2, I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I like 99.99% certain there's no like direct sequel to Fright Night Part 2 from the 80s. So that was the perfect place to end off, because it had a happy ending. And honestly, I'm going to make another claim right now too, which I think we've kind of been alluding to, but the claim that Fright Night Part 2, I think, is like the best sequel, at least the best horror sequel, if not one of the best sequel movies of all time. Honestly, like,
I mean, when you think about it, sit down right now. Hold on, empty your thoughts. Think. Friday the 13th, no. Exorcist, no. Child's Play, no. Hellraiser, no. What else do we got? Nightmare on Elm Street. Part 3 was good. Well, it's not a direct sequel. It wasn't that great. No. So what do you have? Like, what is left?
Yeah. Honestly, there's not really anything. It's just such a good sequel because it plays off of the first movie so well, but makes it its own thing.
And then afterward, like you said, happy ending. Yeah. No shark jumping movies.
No. Yeah, no.
Fonzie didn't have to jump over a shark to keep the series alive.
No.
None of that.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was good how it ended. That's why they remade Part 1 and Part 2. Hopefully they don't make a Part 3.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Then we would have to... Is it a sequel to the remake series, or is it a sequel to the original?
I think it would be a sequel to the remake series.
And I haven't seen Fright Night Part 2, the remake. I'm going to watch that tonight. Me neither. So... Yeah, I had cell phones. I watched the first 5 minutes. I saw cell phones and I got mad.
Yeah, I hope that it's at least decent. I didn't hear great things about it, but I hope it's at least decent. But yeah, Fright Night Part 2, really good. Now here's the unfortunate thing. And I think we talked about this on the last episode, but it's pretty rare. Like, it wasn't distributed as widely as Fright Night Part 1. And so a lot of people don't really know about it because of that. You can't really pick up the DVD or anything. It doesn't even have a Blu-ray.
Yeah, we went to FYE in like 2 different locations. Yeah. You go Walmart, you go Best Buy, you can't find it.
There's nothing. It's on Amazon for like $40 or something.
And it's worth it. Get it.
It is worth it. There's a very limited amount. Hopefully you can find it at like a used place or something, but that's one of the great mystiques about it. I feel like too, it's a really rare movie. It's literally a hidden gem.
It really is. Like, it was diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And we just grab some pickaxes, we open that shit up, and we're like, we're about to share it with the world. We can all be rich.
Yeah.
Rich in culture.
If you get a chance, you'll be doing yourself a favor in watching it. I don't know, you might not feel the same way that we do, but I think if you look at everything as like deeply as we've looked at it, I think that our arguments are pretty sound.
Yeah, watch Fright Night first.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, watch Fright Night. Then watch Fright Night Part 2.
Like immediately after, if you can.
Yeah, Fright Night and Fright Night Part 2, I would say those are the best horror movies of the 80s just because, like, together they were great. When you put Friday the 13th Part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 together, they're not that great. You got the fake Jason, you got the Part 2 Baghead Jason, which wasn't that great of a movie. The movie ended with him getting hit in the shoulder with a machete.
Yeah.
And he's not dead. He gets hit in the axe. The next movie, he's not dead. He gets chopped to pieces. Next movie, he's not dead. Oh, wait, yes, he is. This is a copycat killer.
Yeah.
And then Michael was like, all right, he fell off the balcony. He's not dead. All right, we burned him alive.
Yeah.
Yo, these masks are giving kids like immediate cancer and maggots are crawling out their heads. Halloween 4. It's been 12 years. Michael Myers is in a coma. He's still alive. He's back. Like, come on, man.
It's a little ridiculous. But Fright Night and Fright Night Part 2, it just feels like together, like one big epic adventure. And I think that's why I love it. It's only 2 movies, so it's concise.
When was The Lost Boys?
I think The Lost Boys was definitely 80 something,
But that
I think it was
not even like that wasn't.
Oh yeah, no, Lost Boys Part 1 was amazing.
It was. Don't get me
the
wrong.
sequels not as good. It doesn't have any of the same characters besides the Frog Brothers, just primarily Corey. What is his name? Corey Haim, I think.
Yeah, Corey Haim.
It's really just got him, and I like Corey Haim.
This was late 80s, but 87.
Yeah, 87. I like Corey Haim and all, but the sequels were just not as good. I think they were trying too hard to be too modern, and they lost a lot of that like 80s glamour. Like you could still keep that stuff if you like commit to the special effects, if you commit to shooting it like that, but it just wasn't very good. The plots also were
What
not
about
that good.
Creepshow 2? That was late 80s, wasn't it?
I think so. Creepshow 2
I don't
was
count
really
that, guys. I don't count that.
Well, that's an anthology
exactly,
series, you know?
Anthology series. I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's not a movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a movie, but fuck you, it's not a movie.
yeah,
How's
it's just
that?
like VHS. You know,
1987 as well. I knew it. Yeah.
I think VHS, and I think VHS 2 was a really good sequel too, but that's an anthology series. It doesn't keep the same story. It doesn't harken back to any elements from like the first movie or anything like that.
Yeah, this one was like, man, like I said, like how much correlation between the first and the second, and like how everything was flipped around and like similar events happened, but like in a different way. Like it was smart. It was a smart sequel.
It was.
It wasn't just like, it wasn't just like a movie was made and then thrown to another director just to make more money because people liked the first movie, and then the second one was a total letdown. I think this movie was great.
It was the same director.
How
too.
did it do on Rotten Tomatoes?
I mean, probably not like super well.
I don't always trust them because they said Creepshow 2 has 33%. You know what Rotten Tomatoes?
5.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't know what Rotten Tomatoes gives it. I can look, but I mean, it's probably like, you know, pretty decent range. Let's see if I can pull this up here.
Well, screw you too, IMDb. You don't know shit.
I mean, I can see why like people who are not like big time horror fans might think it was just like a whatever movie, but if you're really passionate about this stuff, I think that it's an excellent movie.
25%.
Yeah.
You guys are smoking dicks. I swear, there's something wrong with you critics.
I agree. I thought it was really good. If you agree, please let us know. If not, let us know why you don't think so.
Yeah, I'd like to know logically why you don't think so.
Yeah.
Explaining, you know, given everything we've explained so far, if you've you know, held up with the conversation, like if you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And if you notice these things in the film, maybe you watched it a long time ago, maybe you don't remember, even though you're a cult fan. Go back and watch it again. Watch the first one, watch the second one, watch the order of things happen, and watch how it's like flipped, and then watch how it's like kind of not flipped.
Yeah.
And then everything just falls together.
Yeah. You might not agree that it's the best movie or the best sequel, but I think you'll agree that
If you don't
it's really
say
good.
that it's in top 5 80s horror movies, get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, I
For
can
real,
agree
get
with
the
that.
fuck out of my face if you say this is not top 5 80s horror.
I can agree with that. So now we're going to move on to our last segment of this particular episode, and that is the chopping block. So for this episode's chopping block, we've got a really hyped up movie right now. Really
Yeah,
hot
I
movie.
saw this all over Facebook. So scary, you can't get to the end. Well, I got to the end, all right, because I'm a true fan, and I loved it.
Yeah. It was really good. There's been a lot of that kind of viral marketing about it. Kind of like there was for Paranormal Activity, you know. It's going to make you stand up out of your seat in the theater screaming and run out and stuff like that. And this one was like, you know, people have been turning it off halfway because they're so scared.
But you know what I liked? You know what I really liked about this movie?
Well, have we said what it is yet? It's Veronica.
I believe we said it, did we?
I'm not sure. Anyway, it's Veronica. It's on Netflix. New Spanish horror movie. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if you can't read, you can't watch this movie. So learn how to read and then watch this movie.
Yeah, I'll never get that, but that's another rant. You know, like people who don't like to read subtitles, and it's like a foreign language.
I can't read subtitles and watch movies at the same time. What happens when you're on your phone and you're crossing the street? Do you get hit by a car every single time? No, man, you can do it. I believe in you.
Open your mind. You don't have to learn another language, but you can appreciate another language. There's subtitles for you. American is not a language. There's not just English in the world. They have great films.
Yeah, they have great films. The cinematography in this was different than any movie I've watched.
It was so good. The camera movements, right from the beginning, the framing,
the angles they took,
the
transitioning.
Yes.
Bro, like, it'll be like 3 minutes. They'll have like 5 transitions, but like they'll do it so perfectly. It'll be like girl walking down hallway, shadow passes by, she looks behind her, camera changes to her side, she turns around again, camera's behind her for 3 seconds, flips back around, shows the shadow again, it's gone. You know, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see that used that much.
All the moving shots were so good.
Exactly.
Too.
That shadow was following her around, and the way the camera was following her and the shadow simultaneously was like really nice. Like, I like the way they did it slow and creepy, and the score for this movie was 90s. Have you?
Yeah.
Kind of 80s. Have you guys ever watched House by the Cemetery? This is rhetorical. If you have, you heard the like, you know, like kind of like our intro soundtrack to this.
It's like Italian horror music, basically.
Exactly.
It's inspired by that, but it sounds super retro. It's like kind of whistly almost.
Yep.
It's so good, and it adds such an element of like, it's such a dynamic element of unease and tension to the movie.
Yeah, because we didn't even explain this was based on a true story.
Yes, yeah. It's about a young girl in Madrid in Spain. I think she's 15. She's like in 9th grade or something, but her and her friends, as dumb teenage girls go sometimes, they go down into like the basement of their school, and the main character's father passed away. We learned that.
Yep.
And she's trying to talk to him, so of course they do a seance.
Right, because when you want to talk to your dead father, you don't want to just move past that grief. You always want to just revisit that grief and try to contact him and talk to him and be reminded that you're sad that he can't be here. Come on now.
Yeah.
I think this whole movie, like, the lesson was, like, let go of the past or it'll destroy you. At least that's what I thought. That's the theme of the movie.
I think that's a good point for sure. But of course, they don't contact the father. They like contact something else. And, you know, from then on, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's like your typical like demon possession movie. And it's not really a spoiler because that's what it looks like. But it's not your typical one because I think that would be offending it. But it kind of follows the same sort of like pattern or formula like some other ones do. Yeah, like Ouija. Like I don't really know what else to compare it to, but stuff like that, you know.
I really liked it though.
Yeah,
like the tone of the movie, like the feel, like the atmosphere.
Yeah,
like there were a lot of daytime scenes, but like, even though like they were like some of them were extensive, some of them were brief, the transitions into like the horrific stuff that happens is perfect because like the horrific stuff happens more often than it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's actually scary. It's got a real creepy atmosphere. It doesn't like really get you with jump scares.
Exactly,
it's just
that's
scary.
What I was gonna say. That's why it's great.
You
No
know?
jump scares. It's just one of those creepy movies like. Remember Don't Knock Twice?
Yeah, that was... Yeah, I can kind of compare it to that. I can also sort of actually compare it to a movie we talked about earlier, Get Out, because I feel like this would be Get Out if it was like a paranormal supernatural movie,
man,
you know?
Like it kind of like hints like kind of who the demon is if you know your occult knowledge like I do. When she was she bought a Ouija board and she was like, you know, looking through the magazine, and it showed like a little symbol, a sigil for the demon Asmodeus, and that came with the Ouija board. If you conjure that demon, there is no hope for you. That was like the first demon created.
Yeah.
Also, big shout outs because one of his nicknames was Samael the Black.
Yes.
And then in the movie, he was like pitch black, just as, you know, the legend called him Samael the Black. So they stayed true to the occult. That's why I like that.
But we don't know if that was that demon. If it was just kind of an Easter egg, so it's not really like a spoiler.
If it was though, that's pretty smart.
If it was, that's sick.
Foreign horror movies can go in depth like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they at least showed that sigil of like a real demon. That way it can make at least people who like, because people who love occult stuff watch these movies.
Yeah.
So when you show something like that, it kind of gets our blood boiling. If, you know, people who have knowledge of that.
The supernatural element was really good. The cinematography was amazing. The score was amazing. It was just really different. It was like a different kind of like supernatural possession type movie, and just a different type of horror movie. Like, I think that they really outdid themselves, and it's pretty like far ahead of its time. So yes, I would say you can believe in all the hype that you've been hearing. It probably is not gonna like make you turn it off and like walk out
unless
halfway.
You're scared of like teenage girls screaming in demonic voices while their jaws are open like 3 feet.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm scared of that in real life, but I can watch it happen in a movie. You know?
Yeah.
But we talked about this, Bart, in the previous podcast, and this was gonna be my surprise to you this podcast.
Okay.
After I watched the movie, I like the way the direction of this movie went, but once again, remember how I was talking about people play with Ouija boards, people mess with legends, people go to old houses and they end up dying? That karma, like there is no hope if you do something bad?
Yeah.
This was another there is no hope movie, but it was good.
It was really good. Don't let that drive you away. You don't know what happens, but it was very good. So yeah, if you've been thinking about checking this movie out, our chopping block verdict is that you should definitely see this film.
That's mine for sure. It was 9.5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that score. I thought it was really good. It was just super different. Like, I think I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while.
And it has rewatch value.
Yeah.
That's one of those it's one of those Netflix and chill movies, you know?
Yeah.
You guys out there, you planning a fun night with the lady, you want to watch some horror, get her cuddle up next to you, watch this movie, because you're going to be screaming and shit too. You're going to not be able to sleep. You're going to be pulling her in. Honey, that movie kind of scared me. I'm having bad dreams. And she's just going to be like, pathetic. And she's going to leave you. She's going to leave you. No, I'm playing.
Yeah. It definitely has rewatch potential, because you can kind of pick up like little things probably along the way too. It's definitely a movie you have to at least watch twice. But yeah, it was super good. Great Friday night horror movie. Really, any night.
Yeah, any night. I'll watch that on a Tuesday.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, even if you're kind of skeptical, because I know there are some bad reviews out there, but don't believe those bad reviews. Give it a watch for yourself. It's definitely worth it. So that's our verdict for Veronica.
Oh yeah, you definitely need to see this.
Yeah.
Hey, like I said about Open House, watch it twice. Watch this twice too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And also, I just want to mention one last thing. I thought the acting was really phenomenal.
The acting was really good. The girl that played Veronica, I don't know her name.
Let me pull it up. It's Sandra. I'm probably gonna butcher it because it's
Sandra Escacena.
Something like that.
You are great. You are a great actress. I hope to see you in more stuff that's like more available to the American public.
Yeah.
Because that was phenomenal. Like when she had a self-realization in the movie, and the look in her face, and like the looks of terror, and like when she was zoning out in one part, like she walked by herself, and like just look at her eyes when I'm
her emotional acting is really good.
her emotional acting is really good.
And this is another movie where they have some really talented child actors as well.
Yeah.
So
these kids like, that's my applause. These kids are really good, because like they seem genuinely freaked out while all this mess was going on.
Yeah. So that is a wrap on the chopping block, and I do believe that will be a wrap for our episode as well.
Oh no,
I know, but we'll be back next week. So we hope that you've enjoyed listening to episode number 2, and we'll be back soon. You can check us out on Podbean primarily. You can also catch us on iTunes.
And make sure you guys check out Sports Radio Detroit.
Yes, please check out Sports Radio Detroit. You can actually watch, or not watch, but listen to all our stuff through the Sports Radio Detroit website as well. So you can just Google it. And everything is on there, including all of their other great podcasts as well.
Got some really good podcasts on there.
Yep. So just follow social media.
I think recently they had Big John McCarthy. He's an MMA referee. He came in for one of their podcasts. Yeah, bro. He's like a referee from UFC 1 from back when 400-pound guys used to fight like 120-pound guys.
That's crazy. Yeah, good for them. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some interviews at some point too. But
hopefully, I'd love to. You know, Robert England. I don't know if you guys know this. If you send Robert England an item and $15, he'll sign something for you. So you can send Robert England like a Nightmare on Elm Street DVD, and he will sign that for you.
I'm gonna send him a sock.
I'm gonna send him a picture of me in a Speedo and be like, "Can you make
that's
this?"
way worse than a sock.
That's way worse than can you make this out to Steve? Like, it's not even my name.
No, make it out to Samael.
Yeah.
Once he's on our show, then he'll know our names.
Oh yeah.
So next week, I think we have another great episode lined up for you. We're gonna review. What are we gonna review?
The Strangers Pray at Night.
Yes. So we did the trailer segment for The Strangers Pray at Night last episode. So on the next one, we're going to go ahead and review it. It comes out this Friday. This Friday is the 9th, I believe. That's why I was mistaking the other movie for. So The Strangers Pray at Night comes out this Friday, March 9th. Please go check it out if you like. That way you can, agree or disagree with our review of it next episode.
Yep. Stay tuned for next week on Grave Discussions.
This has been an SRD production.